All right, so every Wednesday when the quizzers get here for Bible quiz, they come to the JBQ room, they find their badge. On their badges, I'll show you up close, they have an opportunity to earn points each Wednesday for different things like being on time, bringing their binder, having great sportsmanship, accuracy on their homework assignment, and then getting questions in the quiz room. And they can earn JBQ bucks or candy for kind of an immediate reward for what they've been doing. So they come in, these ladies will check them in, they'll circle if they're on time, and if they have their binders, they put their binders in the bins, and then they head to their quiz rooms.
Emma, you want to get Jeremy?
Good, Jeremy. You want to put it right here?
You did already? Okay.
Good job. All right, head to your quiz rooms.
Hi, my name's Josh Stewart, and this is our first year quizzer room. So we have 3 different quiz rooms going on. We have our first year quizzer room, we have our novice room, our silver room, and then we have our gold room going on. So I'm leading with these guys. And usually when we come in, I have something on the board to help us work on some of our questions. Usually it's the really difficult questions. We don't have a lot of difficult questions in the next couple of assignments for the kids, so I'm trying to work on some chronology so that they understand the biblical timeline that's going on. So I'm drawing some pictures, and we're going to talk about these in a few minutes. And then as far as what these guys are doing, sometimes we play some games on the buzzers, and then we get into reading some questions, and we might play a few other games occasionally with the content. So that's what we're doing. But first thing, back to what I was telling you guys, is we worked on what is the Bible. Remember? What is the Bible? And green 2.
The Bible is the inspired word of God. It is His revelation to all the people of Himself and His plan of salvation.
Good. All right. Now, the other thing we worked on when we were working together as a group is our first quotation question. Let somebody else buzz in on this one, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, for 10 points, quotation question: where did the universe come from? Green 1.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1.
That is correct. Good job for 10 points. All right? And we haven't gotten any other quotation questions. So, what I've drawn here is a series of pictures that all relate to JBQ questions. All right? So, what do you think I drew over here in the green? What do you think this is? Raise your hand if you think you know what this green stuff is over here. Yes, Erickson? Actually, you can buzz in, that'll be fine. Okay, go ahead. Green 1?
A tree.
Okay. There are trees. We find trees where? In the...
Bible.
Something begins with a G. In the... We find trees in a garden?
Garden.
So what garden do you think this is?
The Garden of Eden.
The Garden of Eden, right? And what 2 trees were mentioned? Red 4.
The tree of knowledge, good and evil, and the tree of life.
Very good. So, those 2 trees we know are in the garden. Now, who are the first man and first woman?
And
Green 2.
Adam and Eve.
That is correct, Adam and Eve. But, how did sin enter the world? Green 1.
Through the disobedience of Adam and Eve.
That's correct. So Adam and Eve disobeyed, so what happened to them? Were they allowed to stay in the garden?
No.
No. They got thrown out of the garden. But then, right, what's the next question here? So, you guys, give them a chance real quick, okay? Who were the first 2 brothers? Red 3. Cain and Abel, right? Now, which one do you think is Cain?
I'm even higher. I go all the way.
Jacob, we're doing the, come on in, have a seat. You're right over here, Jacob. Let's give your seat right here, seat 3. All right, can you sit up? Sit up and listen. We're talking about some Bible quiz questions, all right? So, for 10 points, who was the first murderer? Red 3. Cain was the first murderer. Yes, Jacob. I'm glad you know it. But you gotta buzz in. Keep our voices down. Will, you're right here, buddy. Okay? Alright. Then, so Cain was the first murderer. Now, next question. For 10 points, Why did God send a flood upon the earth? Green 3. Think about it.
I did things in my dad's car.
All right, good. Hold on. He doesn't remember, so we're going to read it for the red team only because green team buzzed in and got it wrong. So red team, only red team. All right? Nope, you got to wait. You got to wait till I finish reading the question. It's a reread. All right? So, why did God send a flood upon the earth? Red 1.
Because people were so wicked, they thought of evil all the time.
Yes, people were so wicked they thought of evil all the time. One of the things that we try to do on Wednesday nights with our program is to make sure that we focus on reinforcement, review, and clarification. We don't spend as much of our time teaching new material as we do reviewing and reinforcing what they should have been learning on their own with their families at home during the week. And what I try to do, especially with the youngest ones, is to pick the ones that are the most problematic or the most difficult for a child to either understand or to learn because of the volume or complexity of the material. And before they get to that in their assignments, I try to address them. And then on a week like this week, when we didn't have anything that was really brainy for them to grasp hold of, it was just a matter of, I wanted to make sure that they understood the sequence of events. So what you saw earlier is what we're doing up here. But as we went along, I had a child who asked a question about, he did not understand that 1,600 years and 1,600 years were the same thing. So we spent some time looking at this numerically to figure this out. We also had kids who didn't have any idea about Joseph and his dreams. So we talked about Joseph and his dreams, and kids didn't understand what the Gospels were. That there are 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but why do we call them Gospels? Gospel is good news. The good news is Jesus. These 4 books are the story of Jesus in the New Testament and his life and teaching. Therefore, these books tell the good news, which is the gospel. Done. And so for the youngest kids, this becomes an important part of what we do, is trying to help them clarify and make connections as we're learning the material. But we do spend a lot of our time just on the buzzers. Letting kids hit those buzzers and practice buzzing in, answering questions, and having a little fun competition in a supervised environment with one another. And that's just a lot of fun for them.
Hi, welcome to the Silver Room. In here we have quizzers who have a little bit of experience. They're not quite beginners, but they're not quite up to the expert level of the Gold Room. And we buzzed in already. Very good. And so what we do is we just try to have fun here. We try to get them engaged and have a good time. And so what we're going to walk you through is just a brief practice match. It's not exactly like a classical match that we do, but it's something that the kids find fun and engage with. So one of the things that we do in here is that we give everybody a secret code name, so we don't have to respond to them by their normal names. They get to have fun names. And then sometimes we'll do other little goofy games as we go along. So, all right. Question number 11 for 10 points. How did God judge the people who built the tower? Interruption, Sniggling.
Of Babel, by confusing their languages so they can't understand one another.
Awesome. Perfect. It's great for 10 points. And now you get the Tower of Power. Okay. Question number 13. Oh, I think we've already done this one. I'm sorry. Question number 14 for 20 points. What do we mean when we say that God is eternal? Pickles.
God has neither beginning nor ending and always has been and always will be.
Excellent. 20 points. That is correct. And quiz out. Hey, here we go. All right. So now she's quizzed out of the match.
Oh, yeah.
She'll take a little bit of a step back, and then the other quizzers are going to keep on going. Question.
How many more do I get a quiz at?
You've got 2 more. Question number 15 for 10 points. Which of the Old Testament books is a collection of hymns, interruption, Sniggling?
Songs.
Awesome. That's correct for 10 points. Another interruption, so you've got 5. You've got 1 more to go. And you retain power.
I still have 0?
You got 2.
Oh.
Okay. Question number 16 for 10 points. Who was the first murderer?
Rats.
Booty kick.
Okay,
is correct for 10 points. Good job. All right, pass down the tower. You get the tower. Tower power. Okay. Question number 17. Oh, we don't have any 24 people here. Okay, I'm going to skip down. Our 20-point person has left, so we're going to skip those. We do have a 30-point question. Question number 19 for 30 points. What are the 13 epistles written by Paul?
Yeah.
All right, beep. Timer broke, so beep. That'll be your beep.
Beep, beep, beep.
The answer is Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, and Philemon. Okay. Question number 20 for 20 points. Quotation question. Actually, our 24 person's gone. Okay, let's do a couple of the bonus questions. Oh, no. Okay, so we got a couple bonus point questions. We got a couple people close to quiz outs here. Bonus question for 10 points.
I need one.
You need 4. He only needs 1, actually. Question for 10 points. What was the meaning of the first rainbow? Okay.
That's
Anyone
my
needs
buzzer.
one?
Me. That's me. I'm me. Red 1, red 2, and 3.
Hold on. Click that one again, Jacob. No, click it again. Okay, no, that was you.
What?
No, it was the third one that was clicked. Okay. Yes. What is your answer?
It was actually me. It was.
It was the third one.
God's promise that He would never flood the earth again.
That is almost correct, but you had to finish the question. It was rainbow. You had the first rainbow. We're going to give it to you because we're having fun. All right, 10 points. Okay, last question for 10 points. Here we go. Only need one buzzer. Guys, one buzzer. Here we go. Last question for 10 points. Who was Joseph's first master in Egypt?
No, I really want to
Okay.
get a quiz out.
Lot? I'm sorry, that is incorrect. I'm going to reread the question for fun. Who was Joseph's first master? Yes. Super booty cake.
And that's him. Chicken.
No, he's got 3. They mixed up the paddles.
In Egypt. Potiphar.
It's correct for 10 points. All right, into the match.
Potiphar needs a good one.
Good job. Potiphar needs to go potty. There we go. All right, bye guys.
Bye bye.
See ya. See you in Quizland.
I'll see you next century.
All right, so this is our gold room. We've got 2 levels of gold in this room. We have a team that has been to nationals, and we have a team that's brand new to gold. So what we do in here, try and even the playing field while challenging both teams and helping them to learn and grow. So we play a game a little bit different than the other rooms. So we set the timer for 10 or 15 minutes depending on what we've got going on. And we do only 10-point questions. So he's going to be quiz mastering. He's going to read 10-point questions only. Everybody's allowed to buzz. The national team has some limitations though to kind of even the playing field. So if they get 4 correct, then they're out. If they get 2 incorrect, they're out. The new gold team, if they get 6 correct, then they sit out, and that's called a quiz out. If they get 3 incorrect, they sit out. The other limitation that we put on our national team to challenge them a little bit, if they interrupt early, which means before break point, then we stop, it's considered wrong, and the other team gets an automatic reread. And then when anybody quizzes out, on any team, they unplug their buzzers, and they still are expected to buzz in, so I can still hear them buzzing and thinking and being engaged. And we just keep going till the timer goes off. I'm going to add another minute since I used that to talk. And we're going to go ahead and proceed. All right, so make sure everybody's plugged in. All right, and listen to your quizmaster.
Question for 10 points. Who was called interruption green 1?
Who's called the weeping prophet? Jeremiah.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. How did Jacob show interruption green 1?
How did Jacob show his special love for Joseph? By giving him a coat of many colors.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. What special interruption green 1?
What special meaning did Joseph's dreams have? That he would be a great ruler someday and his family would bow down to him.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. What happened at Jericho? Interruption, green 1.
What happened at Jericho when the children of Israel shouted at Joshua's command? The walls of Jericho fell down.
That is correct for 10
And
points.
that's a quiz out. That's its score. Still buzzing, okay?
Question for 10 points. What man lost?
Oh, are you not plugged in? Try again.
Oh, 4 wasn't focused.
Alright, try again. There you go.
I'll reread it. Question for 10 points. What man lost? Interruption, green 4.
All his possessions and his health, but in ministry to God. Job.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. How are people? Interruption, green 4.
Different from animals. God created people in his own image.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. What was the meaning of?
Okay, so that was
Interruption
early. So it's going to be an automatic reread for this team.
Question for 10 points. What was the meaning of the handwriting on the wall at Belshazzar's drunken party? Interruption, red 2.
That Belshazzar's kingdom was soon to be conquered.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. In Jesus' parable, who helped the man who? Interruption, green 4.
Ben being the Good Samaritan.
That's correct for 10 points.
Good job, Abby. I heard your buzz on that. That was good.
Question for 10 points. Where did Jacob? Interruption, green 4.
His family fell in Egypt Goshen.
That is correct for a quiz out.
Alright, unplug. Alright, keep going. I want to hear your buzzes, okay?
Question for 10 points. Quotation question. What is the penalty? Interruption.
Nope, not yet. Keep going.
What is the penalty of sin?
There you go.
Green 3. Red 3.
Romans 6:23. Lead us us in his death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. Who was Isaac's wife? Interruption, red 1.
Rebecca.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. What is the theme of the 4 Gospels? Red 1.
The life and teachings of Jesus.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. Why did God give the law? Interruption, red 3.
To straight out the voices.
That is correct for 10 points.
Good job.
Question for 10 points. What is the Bible? Interruption, red 2.
The Bible is the inspired word of God, and this is a revelation to all people of himself and his plan of salvation.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. What happened when Jonah preached to the people of Nineveh? Red 2.
They repented and God forgave them.
That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. Where did Micah say the Messiah would be born? Interruption, red 3. That is correct for 10 points. Question for 10 points. To whom was the Virgin Mary engaged to be married? Interruption, red 2.
Joseph.
That is correct for 10 points. No, it's not.
Alright, pause. I don't know what you want me to say.
And that's how we,
Okay, and that's how we do the quizzing in the gold room. When the timer goes off, we switch to 20-30s. So we'll just be asking 20 and 30-point questions. And normally on a Wednesday, while he's quizmastering in here, I'm pulling gold quizzers out and doing individual checkoffs. So I'm going to show you an example of that now. Okay, so a little bit to explain how we make assignments for the quizzers for each week. Before the season starts, we create a document, and depending on what track they're on, they get their schedule for the whole year. So these are their assignments all the way until, his go all the way till February. And he is learning 20s, and the typical track for learning 20s is, he's on a track that's 5 a week. And so I pre-made this so he knows exactly what questions each week he needs to study. So he knows on August 16th, he needs to start studying these questions here. So when he arrives on August 23rd, he's asked these questions. And in their binders, they have their questions printed out in their binders, and they're in page protectors. so their parents can circle things, write on them, whatever they need to do as they're studying throughout the week. And then when he comes on Wednesdays, we pull him out one by one, and I ask him what his assignment was, and then I can write on those page protectors too, so his parents can see how he did. And we have, this is the checkoff sheet that the checkoff people use. So I know that I need to ask him certain questions, and then I write how many he got right out of his assignment, and then a percentage of whatever that is. And then on his badge, he gets points for his accuracy. So he has an assignment of 10s and 20s, but we're just going to focus on the 20s right now. So I'm going to ask you 299 to 303, okay? So let me find those in your binder. Okay, so for 20 points, which two apostles wrote a gospel?
Matthew and John.
That's right, good job. All right, for 20 points, what is a parable?
A parable is a story of familiar things that helps us understand spiritual truths.
That's good job. All right, for 20 points, what are the four major divisions of the Old Testament?
Law, history, poetry, prophecy.
Good job. For 20 points, what wise king wrote much of the book of Proverbs?
Solomon.
Good job. And the last one for today, what is the main theme of the book of Hebrews?
That Jesus is a better priest between God and people than were the Old Testament priests.
Very good. So he got all of them right. So I would, as the person checking him off, I would write 5 out of 5. He would get 100%, and then I'd mark his badge. If a quizzer, when we're asking them the questions, if they blank or they can't think of it, we always just tell them to pass, and we can always come back to it. If there's a teaching moment, there was one that I was working on with him, and it was how did God show his approval of Jesus, and then he was mixing that up with how did Jacob show his special love for Joseph. So what was neat about what we could do is we could talk about, I can see why you mixed that up, but let's talk about that. So God's son is Jesus, and Jacob's son is Joseph. So when you hear those questions, you got to think about who the son is. So we do a lot of teaching in the moment about helping them, one, understand the content. So if there's a word they don't understand, we kind of define it for them. If it's a story they're not familiar with, the checkoff people are trained to tell that story and help them figure it out. And he's in the gold division, so we're also helping him competitively try and narrow things down to try and help him remember things that he's learned. So kind of work through that as one-on-one during the checkoffs. And he got 100%, so we put a little smiley face on his binder, and then he's good to go back into the quiz room. All right, so a game that we like to play in JBQ practice is called the color game. You can do this at any level, from beginner all the way to our gold room. So this is our gold room. We're going to show you how we play the color game. How this works, well, the purpose of it is it's a listening game. So they're only supposed to buzz when they hear the color that the quizmaster says that is the color for the round. So he's going to say the color is, he'll pick a color, then he'll start listing colors, and they have to buzz in only when that color is said. If they buzz at the right place, they get a point. If they buzz at the wrong place, they get a point on the other side. And we do it the same as quiz outs and backwards quiz outs. So 6 times buzzing at the right color, they're out. 3 times buzzing at the wrong color, they're also out. So, here we go.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to say the color red. Blue, yellow, green, red. Red 2.
Red 2 gets a point.
Okay, next color is orange. Red, yellow, purple, pink, orange.
That's green 3.
Good job. Color is blue. Black, white, yellow, blue. Number 2. Next color is pink. Yellow, white, purple. Pink. That's too quick. Last one is yellow. Red, orange, white, black, pink, yellow.
Oh, green 3. Good job.
Good job. Want to do some more?
Yeah, me and Lunch are tied.
Ooh.
Oh,
All right.
Okay, the color is going to be blue, black, red, orange, green, blue. Okay, next color is going to be, let's do a different color. What's a good color?
Crystal.
Orange, blue, yeah, it's kind
It's clear.
of, orange, blue, green, orange, blue, green, yellow, blue, green, crystal. I don't know what to do with this. Okay, the last one is orange. We like orange. Ah, yeah.
Doesn't count.
Sneaky there.
That doesn't count.
Okay, I'll pick a different one. Red, blue, green, orange, black, white, red.
Ooh,
Almost tied with
looks
us.
like a tie.
It's the third time.
Okay, another fun game we like to play in Bible quiz is a relay game. So what we do with this is we divide them into two teams. So we've got this team here, which they've named themselves the Dream Team. And we have this team here called the Trains. So what we do with this is, the purpose of this is of course to review material, but it's also to focus on teamwork. That a team in Bible quiz, it's not just one person, it's encouraging and helping your teammates. So what we're doing is I will ask a question, and they don't all have to know the answer. As long as somebody on their team knows the answer, they can finish this race. So I will read the question, and then one word at a time, they will write the answer to the question up on the board. So each person can only write one word. Their teammates can help them and give them the next word if they don't know it. After they write their word, they're gonna pass their marker to the next person in line and go to the end of the line. So that's how it's gonna work. First team done wins.
But do it question or answer?
Just writing the answer.
Guys.
So I'm gonna read that. We're gonna do a 10-point question. Are you ready, JP? Are you ready, Charlie? All right, so the question for 10 points is, what is a prophet? Ready? Go.
A prophet.
Good. If you don't know it, ask your teammate for help.
Is a person. A person.
Oh.
No. Go. What's my word? God. Has.
This also helps them focus on every word of the answer,
God. Has what?
so they don't skip over any when they're answering questions.
Just two.
Good job. Keep going.
Big. Two. Big. Four.
And you can fix somebody's if you need to. There you go.
Him.
It's okay.
I spelled that wrong. Chosen to speak for him. In.
Ooh, it's a close one. It's a close one. It's anybody's game.
In.
Oh, and now we're tied.
Special.
Does it have to be?
Wait.
It doesn't have to be spelled exact, as long as I can read it.
Just special. Special. Wait. Don't. Wait.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Power. 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 Power.
Oh my goodness. We're almost tied again.
Holy Spirit.
Oh, it's so close. Can she get it in? And,
Yes!
the Dream Team by a hair. Good job. Let's check it, make sure it's right. A prophet is a person whom God has chosen to speak for him in a special way through the power of the Holy Spirit. That is correct. And you guys have the right answer too. You're just a hair behind. Good job. All right, everybody high five your team. High five your team. High five your team.
High five.
So that's how we do a relay. Okay, so after the quizzers are done in their quiz rooms, they would come back into the JBQ room for checkout, and they would come up here with their badges. We would see how many points they've earned for the day. The checkout team would see on the bottom, we have a list of what they earn for the amount of points they get. So if they earn a treat, we'll have the treat for the night here that they can pick something from. Then if they earn JBQ bucks, we hand out, these are just, I created these on a Word document. They just kind of look like this with an icon from the JBQ website. I laminated them and they're just kind of JBQ bucks. So they can earn 25 or 50. I have this is an old container I had that I just put together. Each of the quizzers at the beginning of the year made their own label for their bin, and they just drop it in their bin, and that's where they keep track of their bucks throughout the year. It's really important to have an incentive program. That's where the bucks came in. We wanted a way to encourage them weekly and then also at the meets to keep studying. And so we created the bucks program. We have different things they can earn bucks for. I already talked about the things they can earn bucks for at the Wednesday night practice, but at a meet, just being there, whether they get 0 points or 500 points, they get 100 bucks for being at the meet. We look for things like Christ-like character. We look for things like beating your personal record, and also answering a question for the first time. There's a list of things and the kids know what they can earn bucks for. After each meet, which is on a Saturday, the following Wednesday, what we do instead of our regular JBQ is we have a bucks party. We have treats, the parents are invited to come, they get their bucks that they earned from the meet, and we celebrate the most Christ-like character that each coach picks out, the quizzer who was selected for that. And then we have a store. This cabinet is full of prizes that we've collected throughout the summer, mostly the summer, ranging in price from 100 bucks, JBQ bucks, to 4,000 bucks. So they can buy something immediately every single month, or they can save throughout the year and get a big item. And so we open up the store and they get to buy things from the store with their JBQ bucks that they earn from studying. One of the biggest things that we push is earning a seal. Those are knowledge awards. That's when a child has learned a whole set of questions and we can quiz them on that. And it has nothing to do with competition, has nothing to do with how fast they are. It's just, did they learn the Word of God? And we feel that is the most important part of JBQ is we want them to have studied it so much that they just know it. And so when they leave the program, they can bring it with them to middle school and high school and they just won't forget it. So we have that they earn 400 bucks if they earn a seal. We have that as one of our highest bucks incentives because we want them to know the Word of God. So that's our incentive program. They check out, they pick up their binder, and then they head on their way.
Yep. As far as you can stop it. So that is our basic Wednesday night format here at Freedom Church. We have our 3 different quiz rooms with our different ages and experience levels. We have our check-in, check-out process as well as our check-offs. It's important to hold kids accountable for all of their knowledge. One of the best things that we can do for children is to make sure that we give them a responsibility to be owners of their own learning and then make them prove it and then reward them when they prove it. Now, when we get to the meet days, everybody's on a team. So as the coordinators, we assign the quizzers to their teams based on what they're learning this year, based on their competitive abilities, and based on family groupings. And so we try to set those teams up to where every team can be somewhat competitive in the level that they're quizzing in, whether it's a peewee or bronze level, a silver novice level, or a gold experienced high level quizzing. We want to make sure that every team and every quizzer has a rewarding, encouraging experience. Part of that is having a team shirt. You know, you want the kids to look similar, to look uniform when they're at the quiz tables. And these are 4 different team shirts that we use on a regular basis at our church. What we found is that if we go to a shirt store and we make a large quantity of a specific set of shirts, then what we can do is use this shirt for a gold level team and a bronze level team, or a silver level team and a gold level team. So we have different teams wearing the same shirts but in different levels. And what we do is on the day of the meet, we give each child a shirt that is for their team, that's their size. They change their shirt from the one they wore to the meet, and then they put this on. At the end of the day, they must return this shirt to their coach to get their own shirt back. And that ensures that we don't wear these shirts out. We don't get holes in them, we don't destroy them. We can use them year after year after year, and the quizzers still get to have the variation of teams and things that they would like to have. It saves our program money and time in the long run. So that's one of the things that we like to do, and we found it works very well for us. Not every team does that, but most parents don't want to drop 15 or 20 bucks for a JBQ quiz team shirt every single year in addition to the other minor fees and expenses that come along with a program like this.
And when they graduate from the program, one thing the 6th graders get excited about is that they get to take a shirt home. They get to keep a shirt, so they can pick the team that they finished the year on or their favorite team shirt, but they get to keep a JBQ team shirt as kind of a memento for being part of the program. They really look forward to that.
Yeah, the goal of the JBQ is to learn the Word and to have fun and to learn teamwork and competition. So, you know, if we do things in that order, we find that it works better for all three.
So there's so many ways that you can run JBQ on Wednesday or Sunday. There are some churches that do it on Sundays. If you have any questions, this was just a snapshot of what we do here. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you brainstorm ideas of what might work for your church. We love JBQ. We want to see as many kids involved as possible.